Good in the hood, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hey, can everyone hear him on chat?
Hey.
How's your night? Sorry for the inflammatory infrared is a silly goose. Uh,
Dude, I don't give a fuck.
it's probably one of the more
I was
so.
checking I was checking the VOD for the fucking the real Nimbo because I was like on that show and I just got a whisper and I was like, what is this? And then I just saw the title Infrared's a Silly Goose. So I was like, let me see let's see what's going on, you know?
That's my lure people into debate tactic. I've been calling
Yeah.
Destiny a silly goose in chat for
Bro, let me
like
tell you
so
something.
long.
Let me tell you, you know why I don't get mad? Because honestly, you're smart because we're like a hot topic right now, you know, like our name gets views. It just does, you know.
I'm not even trying to do this for views. I was doing this
Bro,
because like
listen, don't ever let anybody tell you, "Oh, you're just doing it for views." We gotta get views, man. That's what we're about. You know, we
right,
gotta
yeah.
grow.
There's value to like being
Yeah,
sensationalist. Like in my opinion, like what the left needs is like someone who you know how like Donald Trump like basically
yeah,
tore down all the other like
yeah.
Republicans. Like I
Mhm.
I I see value in being aggressive, but like I think I want you to be more concise and I want you to be better, but like there's certain positions I don't
Yeah,
agree with, but like
yeah.
um
You know, like it's tough because there's no way around getting around the fact that we at Infrared, we're coming from a perspective that is completely outside of the norm. Like it's completely outside of what's established, right? And it's like so like the reason I try to explain it so thoroughly is 'cause I'm trying to ease them into it carefully and just be like, you know, like with nuance and stuff. But apparently people don't like it. They just want me to like you notice when I yell and shit, it's a lot more concise. You know, because like instead of easing people into my position, I just force it on them. You know, so it's
I
one or the other. You know,
I
but
do
no,
think
no, you're right. I'll try to like, you know, I can try to. I don't know.
yeah,
There's no way around getting around the fact that we're just coming from a different. You know, here's the issue. You know what I'm saying? We're coming from such like otherwise academicized position, but we've learned how to make it normal. You know, but it's just radically outside of the mainstream common sense, you know, and not the mainstream common sense, but the established view in general about things, you know.
I mean, I kind of consider like most people on the left who are like further than democratic socialists out of the like social norm. So, yeah, I agree with that. Um like personally, I don't agree with Stalinism because I think murder is bad for optics.
Wait,
Like
wait, uh, are you? Hold on, I don't want to argue about this stuff. It'll take too long. Wait,
so
what's your ethnicity?
I'm half Asian, but I'm also half white. So, but
Oh,
I
honestly, I
consider
thought you were Persian. Holy shit! Wow,
yeah, my mom's from Thailand, but
nice. Ooh,
I probably have more white privilege than the majority of people, and I'll admit that because like on my dad's
don't
side,
worry about
like
it. Don't
uh
worry about
on my dad's side, like my uncle used to be like the president of a bank before he died. So I have a very specific view of like different aspects of wealth than a lot of like leftists do.
it. You know, hold up. You want to? You know what? Wait, you're a Buddhist?
Yeah. So
Let me
I
recommend you a book.
okay.
Look up this book called Red Shambhala. Let me type it in your chat. This is a sick book. Shambhala. This is a sick book, dude. It's about the Bolsheviks and their struggle for Tibet and the religious struggle in Tibet. And it's a crazy sick book and it has a sick cover. Red Shambhala. Check this book out, dude. It's a sick book.
All right. Thanks for the book recommendation. I'll check it out.
Yeah. fucking sick, bro. Like, get like the Mongols were Buddhists too, so
Yeah,
you
I
got a
mean,
lot of cool things going on with it.
like as a Buddhist socialist, like I think it's kind of interesting that like even the Dalai Lama himself like identifies as a Marxist.
Yeah,
Also, there's also like an argument that like the Buddhist monks themselves can be seen as an example of communism, because like they are materially supported by the lay people who are Buddhists, and they exist without money. Like,
you know what
uh,
my view is? My view is that all Eastern spirituality, maybe even all pre-modern spirituality, is the same thing pretty much, and it's all communism pretty much. Communism is just a revival of this. Like, it sounds crazy. Let me tell you what's crazy. We're all individuals, right?
okay, yeah,
So there's something bigger than us that unites us, right? Because we can only measure individuals. You can't measure society. You can't measure social reality. So what is this thing, this deeper force that connects all of us? You know what I'm saying? And to me, and Marx too, all religions were just trying to explain that. Like, what is this thing that connects all of us, that's real? And they were trying to explain it in a religious way. Um,
I think
so
the thing that connects all of us is like our shared consciousness and experiences. Like we as individ like it's kind of like the notion that like as an individual, if you're alone in the world, you can't become anything interesting. Like if you're
yeah,
completely isolated, because like it's
yeah.
other
But I mean,
people
like,
that like
what I mean more
can
to
make
say
you,
is like,
yeah.
what connects us objectively? Like, what is it that we actually all share objectively that makes it so that we're not just individuals? We're part of a bigger society, or we're part of a bigger community of some kind. And to me, communism is naming that. Like, that's, communism, the word comes from common. Like, what is in common?
Yeah,
Socialism, what
like
is it? Sociality,
yeah,
social.
like and the
So
word
it's like,
commune and whatnot.
not commune. It's common. It's common. It's based in common. I used to think that too. I used to think it was commune, but this thing about, like, what is do we have in common, right? That's pretty much what religions were trying to. For religions, they were saying it's the divine, it's divinity, or it's some other spiritual, thing. But it's really interesting. That's what I'm saying. It's really interesting. But yeah, yeah. Look up the etymology. I think it's et with a y, etymology. Yeah, and it comes from common. Yeah, commune. It's not like a commune.
Oh, yeah, it comes from the French like translation of common. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But it's interesting. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
so my aspect specifically, or like my viewpoint specifically, is trying to limit as much suffering as possible.
Hmm.
Um, so like that's why I don't consider myself a Stalinist, and I have a problem with like uh that that form of like state violence.
But
Um,
I think Stalin was more Buddhist, and the reason for that is because all Eastern religion, including Buddhism, shares in common a view that the object of our
I
spirituality
I
is something objective, right?
I
And
don't.
Eastern Marxism and Stalinist Marx, Stalin. When you look at paintings of Stalin,
Is
don't you
there
see?
is there any historical work on like the spirituality of Stalin though?
It's on the surface. He's a dialectical materialist, but look at the art of Stalin. Look at how he writes. Look at how he speaks. Look at how he looks. His demeanor. He is the definition of Zen in a sense. Like, he is this in this kind of state of nirvana where you know it's on the surface. It's very Asian, very Asian.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree on that. Um,
It's kind of a myth, though. Don't you think it's a little bit of like a myth that Buddhism is actually all about, like the Mongols were Buddhists, the and Buddhism was also, not to like shit on Buddhism, but it was also used for the Japanese troops in the war. So like Buddhism isn't all about peace and this hippie kind of stuff. When Buddhism's, I'm not like an expert on Buddhism, so don't hold me to this. I'm just being, when I said Stalin's a Buddhist, I was being provocative, guys. Okay, I was just being provocative. I was just trying to get your thoughts rolling. I'm not actually saying he was a Buddhist. I'm just saying there's things about Eastern spirituality and Eastern religion and tradition that I think Stalin, it's very clear Stalin is more compatible with in general. Like, for example, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're like an expert on Buddhism, the Buddhist idea of nothingness, nihil, right?
I don't know if you're watching me on stream, but yeah, like the nothingness that's symbolized by this figure being held in the arms of pristine consciousness. I think Zizek also talks about this in when he I think there's a little clip where he talks about like the concept of like love, but he starts with like,
Yeah.
if you search for the nature of reality, you're not going to find anything besides consciousness itself.
You see, the Western nothingness is the nihilism. It's the source of some kind of subjective angst and some type of subjective despair. But the Buddhist nothing is it's almost like an objective nothing. It's a nothingness that's out there in reality. It's some kind of vacuum that does things to reality itself, in a sense. It's a metaphysical type of nothingness that, rather than a source of angst and despair, is actually a source of some kind of tranquility and peace. When I say that, correct me if I'm wrong, please. I'm just assuming maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm wrong. To me, the void of Buddhism, Stalin's more. It's kind of cynical what I'm going to say. When you see murder and you see all of these things, Stalin sees nothing. He's able to be at peace.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So like that's one of the reasons why Slavoj Žižek was critical of Zen.
Zizek did talk about this.
Yeah,
right.
He talked about this in his Jordan Peterson debate. Zizek specifically was critical of Zen Buddhism because it was used to justify like this feeling of disconnect and disassociating from oneself and not seeing like your actions as something. It's like when you stick like, I think his example.
Sorry. You have a commenter, Z Nomadic. It's not okay. You're right. It's not metaphysical in the Western sense. It's not out there, because that's kind of confusing. Because it's making it seem like it's an empirical thing that can be measured. It's out there. What I mean to say by out there is that it's beyond our own individual subjectivity. That's what I mean. It's not just something in our own individuality. Well, that's why all Buddhist societies, Asian societies, they're collectivist societies. They're not individualistic societies. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if it's an inner phenomena in an individualistic sense. Maybe in a deeper sense it is, but it's still relating to some common social thing that is shared by society as a whole. That's why the Buddhist societies are collective societies. They're not individual. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go on.
So like the reason like Slavoj Žižek like criticizes like Zen Buddhism was because of like the justification of like the nationalist like rhetoric of Japan at the time, where they used Buddhism to justify like horrible things. And that's one of the tricky things about ideology, is making sure that we're not going down the wrong path and like using our ideology to justify like causing other people suffering. Yeah. We want to make sure that we want to make sure that we're like doing the best good like as possible.
But you know where I'm coming from? I understand Zizek's idea, but to me, Zizek's bad Buddhism to me is the based one, basically. Like, there's the thing to me isn't about being able to be at peace with suffering and all these horrible things, but mainly letting go of a subjectivistic, moralistic vanity and simply recognizing that history will develop inevitably, in almost a fatalistic way, as an ugly thing, and that this is an ugly, brutal, and cold world, and we gotta toughen up and be at peace with that to survive.
Well, I think we need, like as Antonio Gramsci says, I think we need pessimism of the intellect and understanding that things can go wrong and that life can be hellish, but we need optimism of the will, and we need to understand that through our own willpower of collectivizing together and working together for a collective goal, we can overcome what binds us. We can yeah.
Xenomatics, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off. I don't agree. I think that's kind of a Western interpret. It might be a fundamental aspect of subjectivity, but it is ultimately beyond subjectivity. Because I think otherwise, I think it's a Western interpretation. But the thing you're saying basically about, uh, overcoming the, I don't know, dude. I'm just not. David Lynch. He's into that kind of transcendental meditation. Are you familiar with that? Or?
I'm not super into David Lynch. Is that the director?
Yeah, yeah. He's into that transcendental.
Is that
David
the
Lynch actually he wanted to organize a thing where it's like he wanted to organize a bunch of people in the ghetto, and he thought he was going to end violence through transcendental meditation or whatever. But what about Stalin makes you like him in a summary? All right, I'll try to sum it up the best way I can. It's so
okay?
much. Um, let me think. Let me think. In a summary, to me, Stalin represents the rediscovery of Russian civilization after modernity. In one sentence, that's it. He represents the rediscovery of Russian civilization after modernity. And the reason it's so inspiring is that after modernity, the people, mankind, lost their civilization. They forgot their own civilization. They forgot their special
So, are you saying
spirituality.
that you like Stalin more for symbolic reasons or for what he has done historically? Because
Both,
or
both,
yeah, a
both,
little column A, a
both.
little column B.
Both. I think it's not incompatible. Both. Both. All right, actually got to go. I'm sorry to cut it short. I actually really got to go to bed to wake up for my stream tomorrow. But
All right. Well, thanks for entertaining all of the people in my chat. It was interesting to talk to you. Would you be willing to have a conversation in the future? Because I want to
yes, I will.
I
Yeah,
want to like pick apart how your brain works and like make sure that you're like uh on a path of like making sure that we take the steps to limit suffering for all of mankind.
all right. Salamander suit. Stop making MLM look weird. This will be my last comment before I go. You want to know what? It's already weird, dude. All right, bye.
All right.
Gotta go.
Have a good night.
All right, see you.
Okay. That was interesting. I don't know what to say. Um it's 5 in the morning. I was not expecting that at all. Um I don't think Stalin was a Buddhist. I think that comparison was weird, but I understand kind of where he's coming from like liking him from a symbolic view. Um but yeah, like what I want to do with people on the left who uh like are the type of leftists who push for like the ends justify the means type of like methodology. I want to make sure at the end of the day that they understand that like we need to limit suffering in this world and we need to take more steps to make sure that less people die. If we're going to like have successful socialism, we need to make sure less people die.